When I go to sleep at night, I add up my days. I think of all the things I've done and debts I have to pay. But there is one thing that I know: while you reap is while you sow. So keep moving on, keep moving on. Life is this way, yeah. Keep moving on, keep moving on. Every day, keep moving on, keep moving on. Life is this way, yeah. Keep moving on, keep moving on. Every day. Brother, mind what you do, how you treat your fellow man. If you knew like me, you would do the very best you can. For if you spread good all around, you'll be able to sleep when the sun goes down. So keep moving on, keep moving on. Life is this way, yeah. Keep moving on, keep moving on. Every day, keep moving on, keep moving on. Life is this way, yeah. Keep moving on, keep moving on. Every day. Welcome, welcome. Happy Sunday, everybody.
Voice on, but the mic is right there. Fabulous. So hello everybody. Those of you here in the community, I'm so happy to see you all. Thank you for being here. Happy Sunday. And for those of you in the virtual world, good morning. I'm thrilled that you're turning on, dropping out. Whatever you're doing. Anyway, I'm glad that you're here with us. I want to say especially Oregon and Sydney, Australia.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Sydney, Australia, your old stomping grounds.
Yeah, that's right.
And to Michigan and other points around there. So we're thrilled to have you there. We're thrilled to have you here. What an exciting day. We're going to have a concert here. And I know. That's very good. And so there's going to be kind of a quasi brunch afterwards. And, you know, it's always better if you stay. And so there's food, and if you'd like to make a contribution to cover the cost, we would love that. If not, then we'll just shake you down at the door here. Anything else need to know? Yes?
Is there a donation suggested for this band?
Yes.
There is. It's not a donation, it's a fee.
Well, it's
or a donation.
Yeah, it's either or, whatever your heart desires. And yeah, it's $15 right before the show. And Andrea's going to collect it before the show. So Perfect, thank you.
And again, you know, if you can't cover it, I'll cover it. It's just better if you're here. But that's what we're asking. So let's see what else there to know about the life of the Hilltop Spiritual Center. Paul's here. Good morning, Paul. How you doing, buddy?
Good morning.
Master Paul.
Well.
Master
know,
Paul.
right?
Yeah, that's right.
Master Paul.
Yes.
Yeah. Master Paul. Yeah. Let's see.
Is it going to be an exhibition at some point?
Hopefully not on the platform on a Sunday.
Protected
Oh, let's get this show on the road. So, it's good to have you guys here. Always. Yep. So, Paul, if you'd like to pray us in and get us going, we'll start.
Sure. Just what the exchange of dialogue we had there was pretty funny. So thank you so much. So it's a privilege and an honor to be here with you all, and just blessing everyone here and blessing all of us in the experience of love and joy and peace by which we are here with. It's so nice to hear the sounds of Lee and the beauty that comes forth in his voice and everything that surrounds this experience of what we call Sunday. here today. It's just an amazing thing, and I'm so grateful for this. And so in that state of gratitude and in this state of love, let us simply turn within. We turn within to really find that a place of safety and serenity. Let's turn within to really find that place of which is real, this reality that is eternal. And as we sink into this presence, this life, we let us simply connect with that essence, that which breathes us. And so we are simply here participating in this divine idea called life, this essence. So we are here and to know the truth of our being, that Sat Chitananda, that knowing the consciousness and the bliss. For all three of those virtues and those qualities are that which we can gather here today and experience this wonderful thing called life, reality. And with that, we know the phenomenal world will continue to have its ups and downs and its plays, but we can simply gather in that and see that for which it is, which is the love and the grace and the peace and the power and the beauty that is always present, by which those qualities of life are the reality itself that we get to share with each other here today, in the music, in the song, and the dance, and in the wise wisdom by which we are here to experience our beloved Reverend Dr. Guy give us as a token of that reality, of that bliss and essence. And so with that, I simply give thanks for this knowing. I give thanks for all of it here today, that reality itself that continues to unfold in love and in truth. And so it is. And so the reading for the week is by Abraham Maslow. And it reads, "You will either step forward into growth or you step back into safety. You will either step forward into growth or you step back into safety." And so let us now just step forward into growth by communing with this thing called the loving kindness meditation. And so let us simply invite someone you love, or even an animal companion who fills you with that love. Invite that love to enter the heart and really feel it. Let it then fill the whole body. Then say quietly to yourself, "May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be happy." Now picture that person or animal in front of you and quietly say to yourself, "May they be filled with loving kindness. May they be well. May they be peaceful and at ease. May they be happy. Now let that feeling of love fill the entire sanctuary. And again, quietly say, for the congregation, or one person in the congregation whom you may be called to pray for, and quietly say to yourself, may they be filled with loving kindness. May they be well. May they be peaceful and at ease. May they be happy. And so it is. And so now let us go into a contemplation and a meditation and just simply sit with that experience and allow the ringing of the bell, that sound, to lead us to that presence. With a grateful heart and a grateful mind, we enter the room from that consciousness by which all is, and so it is.
Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. This beautiful, this beautiful, this beautiful day. This beautiful, this beautiful, this beautiful day together. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. This beautiful, this beautiful, this beautiful day. This beautiful, this beautiful, this beautiful day. This love. Thank you for this love, Spirit, thank you for this love. Thank you for this love, Spirit, thank you for this love. This peaceful, this peaceful, this peaceful, this peaceful love. This peaceful, this peaceful, this peaceful love. This space. Thank you for this space, Spirit, thank you for this space. Thank you for this space, Spirit, thank you for this space. This calming, this calming, this calming, this calming space. This calming, this calming, this calming space. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. This beautiful, this beautiful, this beautiful, this beautiful day. This beautiful, this beautiful, this beautiful day. This light. Thank you for this light, Spirit, thank you for this light. Thank you for this light, Spirit, thank you for this light. This giving, this giving, this giving, this giving light. This giving, this giving, this giving light. This day. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. Please welcome Dr. Reverend Guy Williams.
Thank you.
Thank you for this day. Thank you for these words about to come.
Good morning again. It's nice to see you all this morning. I was telling Steve before service that I'm wearing my black jacket for the last time for the summer, and he responded like you're responding. Which what the hell are you talking about? So apparently, I'm the only person that knows that after Memorial Day you don't wear black. Is that true? Am I the only person that knows this? Open rebellion. And that's like the least controversial thing I'm going to say this morning. So if you guys are getting the pitchforks and the torches now, let's get going. So and actually the jacket thing is a foil. And what I mean by that is it's just like I'm trying to, it's like giving a talk, you got to figure out how to take the thing off the ground, and then fly it around for a little bit and then figure out how you're going to land it. I'll worry about that part later. But I thought about this because next week is Memorial Weekend. And also this week is Ascension, last Thursday was Ascension Thursday, and probably many of you don't know what that is. It's kind of like wearing black. Nobody's been to a white party. It's about like, but Ascension Thursday, anybody know what Ascension Thursday is? A few of you guys, yeah. So the reason I know is because my father died on Ascension Thursday when I was 8 years old, and it wasn't on this date. It was actually May 30th or 31st or whatever that day was. But it got me thinking about things because the Feast of the Ascension in the Christian tradition has always been, because of that, something important to me that I've reflected on. And for those that don't know what the story is that as the story is told, that after Jesus had resurrected, he spent 40 days appearing and disappearing and popping in and popping out and doing what he was doing. And then there's this scene 40 days later where he is on Mount Olivet and he is speaking with his disciples. And it's really interesting because they ask him a question, and it's really the last question that he will be asked, which is, when will the kingdom come? And his answer is, it's not for you to know. And then there's this part of the story where it says that he was taken into the clouds and gone. And the story goes that the disciples were sort of staring in the air. They weren't afraid, apparently, but they were just sort of staring in the air. And I don't want to get into one of these flying Jesus stories, because the point of it is, which is really interesting, is that as they're staring in the air, two angelic beings show up, and they essentially say, "What are you gawking at? You know, why are you paying attention to that? Don't you have better things to do?" And I think that's really kind of an important thing, because it kind of goes almost to our whole annual theme, which is it's so easy for us to get caught into the aspect of the story that takes us out of the story, as opposed to the important part of the story, which includes us into the story. You know what I'm saying here? And so, to me, the most important thing then is the thing about, why are you staring into the heavens? Isn't there something that you could be doing better with your time? And off they went, and they do the things. But there's also something, I think, really cool about this story that ties into a whole theme in the whole biblical narrative, and that is this: it's about clouds, because clouds are really interesting in both the Hebrew scriptures or stories and the Christian stories, because they denote mystery. And so, just, for me, one of my spiritual heroes, here it's been 5 minutes into the talk or less, and I'm talking about Teilhard, but I knew that Teilhard loved two stories in the Gospels that had to do with clouds. The first was the story of the Transfiguration, where Jesus goes up with a couple of disciples up to the mountaintop, and there they have this encounter with the divine, and there's a celestial voice that says, "This is my son, pay attention to him," and there's this whole thing that happens, and then there's this story of the ascension. And there's two things that are denoted here, and the first is, sometimes clouds denote a revelation about the nature of being. Think in terms of Mount Sinai. Think in terms of the Transfiguration. Something is revealed about the divine nature. And possibly you, I know for myself, I have. Have you ever had these encounters where you've seen clouds or formations of clouds or the rolling in of clouds, and something's there, right? I mean, you feel it, you see it, you can kind of see why in cultures that are much more atavistic, they have this. I remember one time being at my friend's house in Sausalito, and he had this view of the San Francisco Bay. And have you ever seen the clouds roll in the San Francisco Bay? It's like a serpent. It's a really incredible thing to see. And so you can see how those who live with this deep connection to everything have this experience when the clouds come in, or the clouds cover the mountaintop or something. Something's up. And then other times, the clouds denote the mystery, the question that we just don't know. It's referred to as the cloud of unknowing. That it means that we're moving into some form of mystery. And to me, the most important part of these stories is not about belief. Because, belief's kind of a funny thing. Y'all know what a belief is? We all think we believe certain things. So I have a couple thoughts on this, and if you didn't like my coat or my story about the coat, here we go. So first of all, a belief is a habitual thought. It's a thought that we have, and we get a response from that belief or that thought, and that reinforces the thought again. And we'll think it again and we'll get a response or an appearance of a result, and it becomes a habit to us. And that habit then begins to create neural pathways in the brain, and we begin to perceive the world in which we live based on this habitual thought that we're having. You with me on this? It's not a bad thing or a good thing. You know, it's a good thing when these habitual thoughts keep us out of danger. I don't know what to say, it's a bad thing. I'll say it's a bad thing. It's a bad thing when it starts creating separation. Like, I believe this and you believe that, means I'm right and you're wrong. Or we believe this and you don't believe that. Dr. Martin Luther King used to say that the most segregated hour in the week is Sunday morning at 10:30. Think about that. All the churches, and every church, kind of like us sometimes, is all thinking the same thought. We're not like them. What we believe. So, but what I would offer is this. I don't think that God is that petty that it cares about what we believe or don't believe. Because I think what's more important than belief, because I don't know, who knows what we believe? I shouldn't say that, I'm an ordained minister. I mean, I kind of know what I believe sometimes, but more important than what I believe is what I'm curious about. More important than that, because, these habitual thoughts change, right? I used to believe in the Easter Bunny. And that habitual thought carried me, and my parents as well, and how I behaved and what I did and how I saw the world. And it's not necessarily a good habit for me to have today. And there's other ones, and perhaps you have them as well. So we're not really defined by our beliefs, but we perceive according to our beliefs. And we always make ourselves right about our beliefs. Because how many times have you had the experience where something happened and you went, see, that's how it is. That's how it is. See, it proved itself. And so even more important than that habitual programming is curiosity, because it's much more expansive and it's disruptive to those neural pathways. And then what stimulates curiosity, I think, is the imagination. And to me, that's what these stories are all about. They're not about what you should believe or not believe or do believe or other people believe or anybody believes or anything like that. But they are about how we cultivate our imagination and what happens with us when that happens. And that has me thinking about something that I've been pondering all week. And so it's been 10 minutes into my talk. I've already mentioned Teilhard. Now it's time to mention Tolkien. So I've been contemplating this part of the story from Lord of the Rings, and it's a very beginning part of the story. And in the story, the Fellowship of the Ring are making their way up this mountain, and they're literally being battled by this storm, and they're just fighting this storm. And finally, one of the people says to Gandalf, who's the wizard in there, they say, "Can't you make a fire? Can't you just do some kind of wizardry that can create a fire?" And what Gandalf says is he says, even a wizard cannot make fire without something to work on. And I think, I've been pondering that, because what it speaks to me in saying is, in order for us to create an imagination, we have to have something to work on. In order for us to set our consciousness ablaze, we need to have fuel. And so then the question comes down to this: what feeds your imagination? What feeds your imagination? and I'm hoping that you're asking yourself that question right now. What feeds your imagination? It's been interesting in the Washington Post this week. There's been a whole series of articles. At first, there was an article about orcas sinking boats. Have you guys read this? Over by the Straits of Gibraltar, so far 3 yachts have been sunk by orcas, and apparently they are teaching other orcas how to sink boats. That's curious. But that's not what I want to talk. I want to talk about that, but that's not what I'm going to talk about. But what I want to talk about is all this science about how if you listen to the sounds of birds, it puts you in these different states of creativity and optimism, or things that are called green zones. And we've all heard about this, right? About going into the forest or being in a grove of trees or something like being outside. There was even an article about why exercising outside is better than exercising inside. And then there's these things called blue zones. And blue zones are, not those blue zones, but these blue zones are being around bodies of water. And apparently when you're around bodies of water, it creates a sense of community, which gets me to think again, why so many of the stories, other than the fact that they took place in first century Palestine where there was bodies of water, but why these stories of Jesus are often featured around bodies of water. So the point is, what cultivates imagination in your life? Because it's a really important thing to do. You've heard me talk often about the importance of reading fiction and not just sort of devouring nonfiction, because fiction works our brain differently. It creates things at a different neurological level that allows us to be more imaginative, which allows us then to operate differently with more novelty and more agility into the changing world that we're in. And I think sometimes we get caught into things that will sometimes, let me be just a little bit of a critique on this, but sometimes we, even in new thought, will limit our possibilities based on being right about habitual thinking that maybe if we were more curious about it, it's bigger than we thought. And I'm thinking 2 things in particular. The first is this. I think sometimes that we get so caught into our idea of what it means to be spiritual that it leads to a level of self-absorption. Bell Hooks says this. She says, I am often struck by the dangerous narcissism fostered by spiritual rhetoric that pays so much attention to individual self-improvement and so little to the practice of love within the context of community. You know what I'm saying here? That we get so caught up into, what experience I'm having or insight that I've had or what trauma I'm healing or whatever we're doing, that we sometimes forget that we're part of something bigger than ourselves. And that there's a story that is much greater. Thomas Merton says it this way. He says, there is only one true flight from the world. It is not an escape from conflict, anguish, and suffering, but the flight from disunity and separation to unity and peace in the love of other men, or rather in the love of any living being. So it's not about, I think so often we get caught up into this idea of enlightenment or heaven or whatever the case may be that lifts us out of the world. But if we think of that moment at the Transfiguration, what Jesus is really saying is, why are you worrying about when it's going to come and how it's going to come and what's going to go on? Don't you have something to do here? So it's not so much about dwelling on going to heaven, to use that language, but rather on engaging in bringing heaven to earth. In fact, that's what Jesus taught in his prayer, let it be done on earth as it is in heaven. And how are we doing that? One of my favorite theologians these days is a man by the name of Dietrich Bonhoeffer. And Dietrich Bonhoeffer was murdered by the Nazis during the Second World War. He was a theologian, a really interesting guy. He knew what was coming down. He was one of the first theologians to criticize Hitler as Hitler was rising to power, came to the United States and decided to go back to Germany because he said he felt that he could not participate in the reconstruction after the fascisms if he sort of, was on his spiritual quest in another country that was quite safe. So he went back. But his interesting critique was this. During the Holocaust, during the rise of fascism, during all the things that were going on, his question was, where was the church? Where were the spiritual communities during this? Well, what we know is they were aligning themselves with the fascists. They were aligning themselves with corporate power. They were aligning themselves with the war machine. They were aligning themselves with the glory and the titillation of earthly power, as opposed to calling forth this idea of justice. And he has this really interesting idea of a religionless Christianity. And again, I don't want to get all into Christianity or whatever that is and what you believe or don't believe or whatever your habits are on that. But the thought is, what's it like to be in spiritual community without religion? What's it like to be in a community of people who are curious and engaged without caught into belief or doctrine or creed or any of those kinds of things? What does it really mean when we say, whoever you are on your spiritual path, you are welcome here? So the other thing that I think sometimes we get caught into, I know that I do, with this idea of self-absorption is what to do about suffering. Ernest Holmes, in his very young years, wrote that suffering was unnecessary, which was before he suffered, before his wife died, before he dealt with the schism within his own community, before he dealt with the inevitability of what life is. And and I think we as a teaching sometimes get caught in what a 21 or 20, whatever he was, however old he was, not that there's anything wrong with that, but we learn a few things. Sometimes our beliefs are questioned. That sometimes we have to let go of a belief in order for a greater experience of what things are. James Baldwin, the great American writer, says this. He says, "I do not mean to be sentimental about suffering, but people who cannot suffer cannot grow up, cannot discover who they are." Because the thing about suffering is this: we grow. We grow. And if we suffer with a level of curiosity, we expand. And it's inevitable. I mean, it truly is. Someone we love is going to get sick and die. Something that's important to us, we're going to lose. Eventually, this, as Frida Kahlo says, this Judas of a body will betray us. And then what do? Say it's not necessary, or grow and move into this. And as you're getting your rocks ready for me, I want to refer you to Peter Abelard. who is a medieval philosopher and teacher, and really quite a remarkable story in his own right. But he talked about this idea that suffering can have a redemptive value. And what he means by that, and I don't want to get all Catholic on you, and that we should suffer and be miserable, and that's true spirituality, because that's what I'm not talking about at all. This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be exceedingly glad. That's the whole point. And if we want to go into it, what's this idea? I'm here to learn this kind of lesson, and I'm learned her to. I don't know about lessons that we have to learn in this life. I think if there's a lesson that we learn about in this life, it's to appreciate the fact that we're alive, and we live on this remarkable planet, and all that it is, and all that it is, and how and what would it be like to be motivated by just deep gratitude for this experience of life. But sometimes it feels like a loss. Sometimes it feels like work. But if we get out of the self-absorption of me, the old story of separation, and embrace a new story about unity, then that can be for something. Right? I can work towards something that is bigger than myself. And sometimes that's painful, and sometimes it takes a long time, and sometimes I need patience in that. But at the end of the day, something good will come. You know what I'm saying there? And then how we practice that for the world as well. Karen Armstrong says this. She says, when we confront the huge pain of the world, we are up against a dark mystery. We are in what the mystics have called a cloud of unknowing, and should not expect to see a silver lining immediately. I've been grappling with that one. Because I think, maybe I'm tired. I am. Maybe there's been a lot of things going on. There are. Maybe it's just this point of where I am in my life and what I'm looking around. But what I'm finding right now, me personally, is I can be so easily overwhelmed by the suffering I see in the world. And it could be anything and everything. Whether it's the horrible way we treat, industrialized animal farming. Whether it be what is going on in Ukraine or Sudan or, you name the conflict. Whatever the case may be, or just being in this community and seeing people that are dealing with different kinds of conditions and things that are happening and feeling kind of powerless about all that. And I want to ask, when will the kingdom come? And the answer is it's not for you to know that. But rather, what can you be doing today? How can you be engaged? What little thing can you do today? Because those little things make a big difference. And so again, we're back in the clouds, right? Those moments, those clouds where we encounter the luminous in ways that are just breathtaking. And then there are those clouds of unknowing. And sometimes what we need to do in those times of unknowing is stop measuring them against our habitual thinking, but rather become curious and ask ourselves, what feeds my imagination? Because my imagination, your imagination, is way, way, way more important than what you believe. Beliefs come and go. You believe this today, you believe that tomorrow. One of the things that Teilhard talks about so much is this idea of the divine luring us into a future. A God of the future, he would say. And it's not like someday we're going to figure it out kind of thing, but rather being open to being guided. And sometimes that guidance brings us into a cloud of unknowing. And we acknowledge that we just don't know. But the trick is not to get self-absorbed. The interesting thing is in that moment, we become how deeply, deeply aware of whom we give love to and whom we receive love from. And that's how we bring heaven to earth. Thank you.
Thanks always, Rev. We've got a lovely treat right now. This is a little surprise that we weren't aware of this happening, but Anna is here in the back, and we're going to invite her up for the next song to give you a little a preview of what we're going to do for our set today. So please welcome the amazing Anna Blue. I'm so excited for everyone to hear Anna. How was the drive? And I get to play percussion, which is a new and rare treat for me. Yeah, that's it. I'm just going to pull that forward. I've got my West African djembe here.
Well, hello. Happy Sunday morning. Thanks for having me. This is really cool. I'm going to play a song. Play a song called Bloom. I wrote this probably like a year and a half ago. And it's kind of it was intended to be like a conversation between me and my little child self, kind of telling her the things that she needed to hear at a certain time. So here we go. I wish I could tell you, my darling, what you don't know. You're not far from home. But I got way too many feelings that I can't show. They're just left alone. No, you're not broken. And I know you keep hoping that someone will show ya, but the door's wide open. I'm at the table trying to fit in, afraid they might be wishing I was someone else completely. Do they even see me? You'll find it'll take some time for you to let go of who they knew. Just let yourself bloom. Trust your heart, it'll take you far. You don't have to choose between them and you. Just let yourself bloom. Just let yourself bloom. Oh, yeah, the lyrics. There we go. Here we go. Round two. You don't have to be low maintenance. You can hold on to what keeps you honest. Looking at the chaos, I gave up playing the part, but they think I'm just soft. No, you're not broken, and I know you keep hoping that someone will show you, but the door's wide open. I'm at the table trying to fit in, afraid they might be wishing I was someone else completely. Do they even see me? You will find it'll take some time for you to let go of who they knew. Just let yourself bloom. Trust your heart, it'll take you far. You don't have to choose between them and you. Just let yourself bloom. Just let yourself bloom. Thank you.
It's Anna Ballou, everybody.
Thank you so much.
And she'll be back for more at 12:30.
That's right. All right. Thank you. Here's Lee Coulter.
That's the reverend. You can leave this.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's not apparent.
And so now,
Just not a glow.
yeah, that was amazing. Yeah, so what a treat we have after service today. But before we get there, let's go ahead and now just simply contemplate on this notion of giving and receiving. It's a flow of life. We experience it. You know, we give and receive. We're open and receptive, and we allow this presence to move through us. And let today be the tithe be an action of love, an action of peace and of joy, knowing that this gift goes out to the Hilltop Center, to our community, where we get to share with camaraderie and intimacy with each other and be there for each other in a sense of grace and peace. And so if you're giving today, please feel free to to place that gift on your heart and know with me that this gift is an action of love. And so it is.
So again, I just want to thank everybody who is part of our celebration today, and I especially want to thank, because I know they can hear me, is Kurt and Ann and Meredy and Andra and whoever else little angels are in there that are preparing our feast before the concert. So thank you for that. I want to thank Luann for those beautiful, look at those gladiolas. Are those not just the most remarkable flowers that you can see? Yeah, so thank you for that. Liz, who came in early to help tune things up. Steve, always, man, my brother there, getting things together. You guys that are getting here. Dave, who was greeting today. The music, Jim and Lee, and all that's happening. And thank all of you for being here and all the stuff that Mark does when he comes in and gets this place ready, setting chairs, making coffee, all those kinds of things. So thank all of you for that. And so let's go to the next thing. So before we do, let's pray our way out. And I just want to share that at the end of the day, a habitual thought that I have, a belief that focuses my perception on things, is I believe in a God of justice. I do. And this to me is justice, and this is our closing prayer. And I'm going to invite you to say it with me. It is simply this: and all shall be well. And it is all well. And in all manner of things, it shall be well. And so it is. And that is justice.
If you knew the you that you don't know, you love yourself from head to toe. You never be too sad or low. If you knew the you that you don't know, if you saw the you that you don't see, you will feel so differently. Be as happy as can be if you saw the you that you don't see. You say, what a human, what a friend, what a model citizen. You know why the people love you so. If you knew the you that you don't know. If you heard the you that you don't hear, all the doubt would disappear. 'Cause you're so charming and sincere. Yeah, the you that you don't hear. What a human, what a friend, what a model citizen. You know why the people love you so. If you knew the you that you don't know. You may not see it for yourself. It's just everybody else. When the earth is old and cold and gray, and we're out beyond the Milky Way, who shall lead humanity? Well, I'd send the you that you don't see.
You say, what a human, what a friend, what a model citizen. You know why the people love you so. If you knew the you that you don't know, just how the people love you so, yeah. If you knew the you that you don't know, if you knew the you that you don't know, if you knew the you that you don't know.
Oh, yeah. Happy Sunday, everyone. That's Anna Ballou. We'll be back in 1 hour from now. Thanks for everyone who brought some food. Let's enjoy some food and some togetherness, and we'll see you in an hour. Cheers.